Okay, yeah, our team, I think, is in very good health for this time of year. One or two guys banged up a bit that may not play, but overall we've stayed pretty healthy this year. Coastal Carolina is one of the best teams in the other division, the Big South Conference. They're already co-champs of it. I think their record's 10-1, 10-1 right now, and they'll be going into their playoffs after this week, in all likelihood. Very good team. They've set all kind of offensive records this year at Coastal. They got excellent running back, wide receivers, quarterback plays well, defense hangs in there and plays well. Well-coached team, and obviously a team that has won a lot like Coastal has. They believe they've got a chance to win every time they go out, and we got to play well if we're going to beat these guys. So looking forward to having them here at 1 o'clock this Saturday.
First up, we have Chip Howard of KZNE Radio.
Steve, have you called Hugh Freeze with any tips on how to beat Missouri this week?
No, I stay out of that. I learned a lesson back in 2005. Florida needed to beat us here in Columbia and have Auburn beat Georgia. And they got all those Florida coaches talking about Auburn and this and that and the other. And I said, if I'm ever in that position, I'm going to keep my big mouth shut and just let it play out. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm letting it all play out, and whatever happens, happens. And if Missouri wins both games, I'll be the first one to call Coach Pinkel and congratulate him on a heck of a year. But we're going to worry about what we got going on right here and try to beat Coastal, try to get 9 wins this week would be really good for us. And we got a chance to do it, but we can't mess around. We got to really be ready to play this week.
I know you do this every year, but could you speak to the difficulty of playing a non-conference game this late in the season?
Difficulty?
Yeah.
Oh, it's just the way ours is set up. We got 2 non-conference games, our last 2, both in-state. And sort of for the state championship, we sort of refer to our in-state game as, since we are the 2 Division I teams next week, is the state championship, a little bit like players do in high school when they play for the state championship and so forth. So it's just what we do every year, so it's no big deal. It's a huge game, obviously one of our biggest games of the year is our 12th game. And this one this week is one of our biggest games because we're trying to remain undefeated at home. And of course, all you guys know we got the longest home winning streak in the nation right now, and we're going to hopefully add to it this week if we can.
Thank you.
Next we have Sean Cartel of the SEC Digital Network.
Coach, given the way that the SEC championship game has played into the BCS championship game over the last 10 years, how do you think moving forward that the SEC championship game will affect the new college football playoff?
It could affect it a little bit. I think it's really helped all the SEC teams in the past in that winning that one got them into the final game and so forth. So I know the year we won the national championship at Florida in '96, beating Alabama in the SEC game got us a little bit ahead of other teams that had one loss. So it was very helpful for us to, I think, be voted number 1 after beating FSU in New Orleans. And it's helped Alabama. I think it's helped the Florida Gators when they won their national championship. So, yeah, I know it could hurt you also if you lose that game, but it seems like the SEC team has won most of them that was in contention for the national championship.
With all of the change that's going on in the SEC and college football right now, does that remind you at all? Do you see any similarities between what was going on in the early 90s with that change?
Oh, I don't know about that. In the early 90s when Commissioner Kramer came up with that playoff game, I said, I didn't even know you could do that. He said, yeah, if you divide up divisions or something like that, you can have a championship game. And so I always used to ask him, well, how come we don't do that for the national championship? Why don't we divide up around the country, get about 8 teams, and see who wins it? he said, "Oh, that's too complicated or something. We can't do that." But we could do it for a conference championship, and it's a huge game. I always used to say it's my favorite game of the year when I was coaching at Florida, and we could get to it a lot. It's a big, huge game for the fans. Georgia Dome is a wonderful place to play it, and it's this biggest game of the year if you can get there. And if you can win it, it really is the biggest game of the year.